Hi, welcome back to the Fallen Eagles 2 game, which is now moved on to the 4 p.m. turn. We've had 4 activations on either side, and actually I think the game is pretty much concluded because the French are just doing terribly. You might recall they set up the ground battery on the heights. They've been exchanging fire with the Allied gun line, probably winning that, but not significantly. They've had a few losses themselves. I think I could configure that part of the line better next time. Haven't been hugely efficient. There is a line now opposing the Prussians that have obviously entered. Prussian Second Corps is also due to enter this turn. So there are some cavalry and some artillery from the Garde and from Derlon's corps, sort of trying to screen those forces. And on the 4 p.m. turn, the Guard do have now orders to move up along this route. So the Young Guard will be joining that line to try and hold off the Prussians. At least that was the plan. Mouton was bounced off Hougoumont. Milhaud's been exchanging shot with the Allies. Not doing too badly there actually, but the big disaster, which I thought was going to be the jewel in the crown of the French position, was on the left flank, where the Second Corps were looking very threatening, but they've had a couple of really poor turns where they've made nothing happen, and a lot of their troops are now in rout. They've had both their activations this turn. The Brunswick Division moved across to counter the threat along with the reserve artillery, and they've left Kellerman in Braine-l'Alleud, which, if they can push them out of there by the end of the turn, it's an automatic French defeat and Allied victory anyway. So there's just no real traction now for the French forces. They're just sort of hanging on, and things are only going to get worse with more Prussians arriving. I need to have a bit of a rethink as to how to approach the French in this game. It's quite difficult. It's a very interesting game, although it looks as though it's just a frontal assault. There are lots of choices in terms of when you decide to activate which formation. So the sequencing is quite important. Of course, it's often thwarted by the dice gods that don't let you activate the one that you want to at that particular time. But there's not many French off-map casualties. There's a large number of flip units on the map, and this is how I mark the activations. I actually put the activation markers on the officers on the off-board displays, because one thing I like about the map is that there is very little sort of counter clutter, apart from the route markers, which you really want to be able to see clearly anyway. There are no other markers on the map, unlike many of the other sort of tactical Napoleonic systems, which the counters look nice at face value, but they end up being covered by all sorts of different markers. So these activation markers I put over here. If the current activation is the one that's rotated, so if that was on a 1 and it was rotated, I would know that I couldn't use that one again next time because it was the previous one to be activated. You activate another one, you put down the 1 activation marker on that with it rotated, and you then reset the one from the previous activation. It's just a very simple way of keeping the activations off the map and keeping the map nice and clean. But I'm tempted to try this again, actually. Just have another crack, see if I can do better. I think it would be hard to do worse. Equally, I wouldn't mind having a go at the Austerlitz game, which I've never tried. So we shall see. But it's actually it's more interesting than I thought it would be. I thought it was just going to be a bit of a sort of two heads being butted together, but there's actually lots going on, and lots of choices to be made. Hope that's been useful.